Today on Capital Conservatives, we dive into a heated exchange between Senator John Kennedy and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen at the Senate Appropriations hearing. Kennedy calls out reckless spending, accusing Yellen of giving the economy an election year sugar high. Stick around. This one gets intense. The hard truth is, we're running a $1.6 trillion deficit. Our government spends more than it takes in. We cover the gap by borrowing big. If you had to borrow, would you prefer lower interest? Yellen agrees. The less, the better. So why isn't Washington doing that? Hit subscribe and join the Capital Conservatives community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary. Always good to see you.
Likewise.
Right now, in our current fiscal year, by our, I mean the federal government, we're running looks like about a $1.1 trillion deficit. Is that correct?
About 1.6, I believe.
1.6 trillion. I'm sorry. It's even worse than I thought. And that, of course, means that we're spending $1.6 trillion more than we're taking in revenues. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And we're filling the hole by borrowing money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, if you personally were borrowing money, would you rather pay 5.4% interest or 4.4% interest?
The less the better.
Ma'am?
The less the better.
Okay.
I press further. Then why aren't you borrowing at the lower rate, Madam Secretary? Yellen insists. We're not trying to time the market. We issue debt at least cost over time. But in November, Treasury increased short-term borrowing, even though rates were higher. The facts are clear. Treasury is borrowing at 5% when it could borrow at 4%. No spin can change that math.
Then why aren't you doing that with federal borrowing?
Well, in federal borrowing, our objective is to issue at least cost over time and not to try to time the market.
Yeah, but you are timing the market. You issued a press release back in November that you were going to try to time the market. I mean, right now, you can issue 3-month treasuries. These are yesterday's yields at roughly 5.4%.
Yes.
But you could issue a 10-year Treasury note for 4.4% and save. Let me finish and save the taxpayer a lot of money. And then last November, you issued a press release. You said we're going to start borrowing more short-term debt than we normally would. At the beginning of 2023, our short-term debt was about 15%, and last November you said we're going to increase that
to about,
and now it's about 23%.
Correct.
You're costing the taxpayers billions. Why are you doing that?
The Fed is trying to slow the economy to fight inflation, but Yellen's Treasury is pumping money back in, working at cross purposes. Powell's cooling things down, Yellen's heating it up. Why do this unless it's to give the economy a sugar high before the election? Yellen dodges, but we all heard it. If you agree, smash that like button to help more Americans hear the truth.
So, Senator, you say it costs 5.4%. That's what it costs this year.
No, that's what it cost yesterday.
Yes, but when you issue 10-year bonds, you're locking in the 10-year rate over 10 years. And that 10-year rate, the reason that holders of 10-year Treasury bonds are willing to accept a 4.4% yield is because when those same individuals could be investing at 5.4%.
Madam Secretary.
No, I'm sorry, I would like to.
Madam Secretary, that's just no offense. That's double talk.
It isn't double talk because
maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my fault.
No.
Today you can borrow for 3 months at 5.4%, but instead you're choosing, strike that. Today you can borrow for 10 years at 4.4%. Instead you're choosing to borrow at 5.4%.
Market participants believe
that makes no sense.
Market participants believe that short-term interest rates will come down, and they will come down to a level substantially below the current 10-year rate.
You are trying to time the market.
And so, no, it isn't a question of timing the market. It's we issue across the curve in a regular and predictable way. And the reason that...
As my time winds down, I tell her plainly, "You're smarter than me, Madam Secretary, but my mama didn't raise a fool." Laughter ripples through the hearing room. You're paying 5% to borrow when you could pay 4%. The only reason? To give the economy a sugar rush before Election Day. So, what did we learn? The Biden Treasury borrows more at higher rates, costing taxpayers billions, while calling it just policy. Debt balloons, inflation lingers, and American workers get squeezed.
You announced last November, I can show you the press release, where you said that we have decided to start issuing an inordinately large amount of short-term debt, didn't you?
We did make an announcement
And
about
because of the inverted yield curve, that means that you're going to pay more in interest on short-term debt than, say, 10-year debt.
only for a short time.
Now, that's a fact, okay? You can go check the numbers of Treasuries yesterday. That is first, that costs taxpayers a lot more money in interest. And number two, you're working at cross purposes with the Federal Reserve, because what you're doing is stimulating the market, pumping money into the economy. And Jay Powell's over here beavering away trying to reduce inflation. And you're beavering away trying to increase it by
There's
paying
nothing that we're doing
an interest
that's
rate that is 100 basis points higher than you would have to pay. And the only way reason I can
Senator Kennedy exposed what looks like political manipulation in plain sight. Capitol conservatives holding Washington accountable.